Welcome back to Nickals and Dimes, the #1 podcast in combat sports. Today, we welcome to the show Nick Lee, one of our old teammates at Penn State. We're going to chat about Christianity, a little bit about philosophy, about school, and of course, get into some wrestling. So, hope you enjoy. Make sure to like and subscribe. Here we go.
Like right now, like on the way over here, I just saw that they had hit the Ayatollah. That's like he's called the supreme leader of Iran. They just hit like wherever his like compound was. And so they're like speculating that maybe he's dead, but I don't know yet.
So it's speculated.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like right now it's like Israel's kind of kicking butt from what I've seen.
Well, I saw a tweet. It was kind of trying to be funny, but it was like, it was saying it was like this guy from Iran was like basically saying that it was like a quote from the guy, and it said like, we're going to smash these dudes, obviously in a more elegant way. And then it was like replacement to the replacement to the replacement to the replacement to the replacement.
Oh, literally.
To the replacement of the head of the defense of Iran.
It sounds like
it's like all of them got smoked.
It sounds like in the first 48 hours, they took out like the entire first tier and a lot of the second tier of like the Iranian military.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's crazy over there. I think the technological gap and the intelligence gap is so huge.
Right.
So
a lot of people in the neighboring countries are taking selfies for clout with the bombs going off at night. They look kind of cool. It's like shooting stars in the background.
Jeez. I wouldn't want bombs going off at night near me, but
yeah. Have you seen these? Have you seen these pictures? They're pretty crazy.
That people will do for internet clout.
Yeah. I was like, that's an interesting way to go about it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for a lot of them, it's probably just like the way life is.
It's pretty normal over there.
Yeah.
It's not abnormal the last 100 or 5,000 years.
Yeah, I think it's been a couple thousand.
Have you thought about getting into politics?
No.
You
kidding me? That's how you turn up dead. So
you're too honest.
I guess so. As far as anyone knows.
Keep it real.
Yeah. I try to keep it real. You keep it too real though, I think you end up dead. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep my hand out of politics. I will not be running for anything. Yeah.
No, not even like you wouldn't do like
I'd run for like
school board, state college, Penn State.
If I had kids, I'll run for school board.
Yeah,
yeah.
I would back you
100%. Actually, when I have kids, I'll be running for school board. Which I don't know. I just think that's important.
Nick Lee,
think about this. If you have a kid and you send them to school, they're spending. How many hours do they spend at school a day? You drop them off at 7.
Yeah,
and
at least
you pick them up at
6, 7, 8 hours.
Yeah, they're spending 8 hours with a stranger.
It's pretty weird.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Have you thought about like homeschooling and stuff?
Yeah, 100%.
Is that the way to go?
I would like to.
Yeah.
I was homeschooled from. I was homeschooled 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Oh, really?
And then my brothers we all started homeschooling the same year, so they homeschooled longer.
Got it.
So yeah, I think it was really nice. Like I didn't fall behind in school at all.
Yeah.
In certain subjects, like I stayed up in math. Like I was caught up in math. I was caught up in science. And then as far as like other subjects, I just kind of like picked what I wanted to learn about.
Yeah.
So like if you go to like elementary school, like you learn about American history every single year, the same thing over and over and over again. Like I learned about Civil War every single year. And then whenever I homeschooled, I was like, I don't really want to learn about American history this year. I want to learn about like, I don't know, like I'm Irish. Let me learn about the history of like the British Isles. So then I went and I got a history of like Britain. And then that's what I learned for a year. And so I studied what I wanted. And then whenever I got to high school, it's not necessarily that I was like, I had like read a book in a chapter and I was like on the next chapter, so to speak. Like I wasn't following steps, but I had learned how to learn. So like I strongly believe if you put me in like any subject, like I can, if I put the time in, I have strong study skills, like I can learn how to do it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm going to like it. Like my freshman year, I started in kinesiology. I took biology classes. I took kinesiology classes, like all that kind of stuff, the science stuff. And I got A's in all of it. Like I just didn't enjoy it.
Right.
But I was good at it. And so I decided I was going to switch majors. But I think it's more important to like develop people's ability to like use their brain and study, because then you can do anything you want in life, like whatever.
Right.
So
it's interesting. I actually kind of similar experience. I homeschooled in the 8th grade. But what ended up happening, I don't know how it was for you. Did you have like an online curriculum and like textbooks?
Some of it was online, some of it was textbooks, yeah.
So I remember like school started, my mom was like, all right, we got this like online curriculum thing for you. And it was like, I did like the first day, and then I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And I didn't do school for a year.
Yeah.
And then I just went to high school.
Yeah, but you were probably fine.
I was still way ahead of everyone.
Yeah. It doesn't matter really. Like, you could do nothing.
Yeah.
And actually, I think from what I remember, Pennsylvania has pretty good homeschooling laws.
Probably because all the Amish and Mennonites and stuff.
Yeah. I don't think you have to like actually show that you've studied anything specific.
Right.
Like, you just have to have something certifying that you were homeschooled or something.
Yeah, I feel like, you need to know basic math. You need to understand science and concepts that are, I feel like, but a lot of the concepts that you really need to understand in science can be taught in, a week per subject, right? Like, you need to understand scientific method, or like a little bit of chemistry, a little bit of biology, physiology, but like you can understand that stuff very quickly. To go into a deep level, you're going to need to put more time in, but a baseline level of understanding. And then of course, I think people should spend a lot more time reading and a lot more time writing, because that seems to me like almost a lost art. Yeah. And whoa, power outage.
Nice. Yeah, we got some storms coming through.
Yeah, seriously. But I feel like people's communication skills are getting poorer and poorer.
Yeah.
And I look at the classes that I felt like I got that were the most applicable to like real life. And there was a few different ones, but one of them that I think about was like business writing. Did you take 202D?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so like that class was like very helpful in understanding like how to communicate with people and, in written form. And I think like that stuff is so practical for real life. Whereas all the other stuff we're learning, it's like, I don't remember any of that.
Yeah. I read, I would like get in trouble in classes whenever I was in middle school and stuff, because I would like bring like books and stuff to school and I would be reading instead of paying attention. Yeah. And I was still like ahead of not everybody, but a lot of people. And I think like writing and reading were two of my best subjects. So whenever I took the ACT to get into Penn State, like reading comprehension, perfect score. And the other ones I did like still pretty good on, but I think reading and writing for sure, those are the most important. And like math and science, like I learned to do algebra in algebra class, and I learned like all these chemistry concepts when I took chemistry, and it's like I don't remember any of them. Yeah. But if you were like, hey, you need to learn this for this reason, I could go in and I could relearn it easily. Yeah. Like, in a week, a couple weeks, like, so I think it's just learning how to use your brain and, exercising those muscles, I think, is the most important thing.
I think
Tony doesn't really do. I mean,
what was it? It's
the only math Tony needs is like how much 245s adds up to.
I can run 45s like crazy. Sometimes when Bo and I are lifting, I'm like,
we don't even go on the real weight.
Yeah, but I'm like running numbers in my head, and he's like, it's 305. I'm like, I know it's 305. The only thing I'm thinking about is if I want 325. But no, what got me through college was a single line, and none of my professors had any rebuttal to it. Mainly because I was majoring in psychology.
Is it C's get degrees?
No. No. I actually got pretty good grades, but like whenever a teacher would call on me, or there was like a question that stumped most of the class, I would raise my hand and just be like, perception is reality. And every single time, they'd be like, sometimes they just dismiss the class. But it got me really through most hard classes.
That'll get him.
That's so good.
That's like simultaneously so true and also the dumbest line. Exactly. Perception is reality, and the sky is blue.
I feel it really works for like a sticky situation though,
and it works for like when you're like really trying to be philosophical in like a psychology class. Yeah. It's like we're already at that level. Yeah. So what are you gonna say? Like, I'm wrong?
Yeah, you can't.
That's what I'm saying.
Because it's
and
not.
If you do, then no.
That's funny. I actually never took like the closest thing I got to any sort of philosophy class and stuff was psychology, and even that was like just a lot of studies and stuff. By the way, psychology classes, I learned this on the internet, so it's definitely true, but all the studies you learn about, apparently a ton of them aren't like replicated, and so they're all just like bunk studies. So you take
which studies specifically? Are there any like famous ones?
I'm trying to think. Like, well, like certain ones like like Pavlov's dogs, like that's obviously been replicated, but
right. The ones, so basically the newer ones are more sus.
it seems like it to me.
Yeah, the old ones, you know.
Yeah, it seems like the ones that that you can replicate, like you can Pavlov dog train your roommate for something, you know, if you.
Oh, I did it.
Yeah,
Been there.
Yeah, I mean,
The old ones were all on actual humans too, so those are the ones that were legit.
Yeah, they need to bring that back.
Like the what was it, the Stanford?
Oh, that one's crazy with the prisoners.
Yeah.
Have you not heard of this?
Is this one where they put people like in charge of other people?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've heard of it, but I kind of forget like what it was about.
Yeah. So basically, it was like, you probably know it better than me.
Yeah, they just basically separate into two groups of like prisoners and guards.
Yeah.
But they're not like,
They're just civilians.
they're just civilians.
Yeah. It's a study.
Yeah, and they like completely embraced the role.
Yeah.
Like the guards became super abusive, and like the prisoners became prisoner criminals. Like
So interesting.
They embraced the mentality, and they made a movie about it too. But
did they?
Yeah,
That's cool.
it's pretty good. But yeah, those were the studies that they did back in the day that were like, you can't replicate it, but
You could.
they're legit.
That's crazy. Have you ever heard about the study where they tried to create like a rat utopia?
No.
So there's this one study, and I forget like what it is, but he basically gets a ton of rats and puts them in like this rat city and like feeds them everything they need and stuff. And basically like as the population grows, the rats start to like naturally become like feral.
Yeah.
And like the male rats start to become like asexual. Like it gets crazy.
So is that like,
It's
kind of extrapolated to humans as like the population gets too high?
And like I think he was trying to show how like in urban centers how like society starts to change in urban centers as they get like too tight. It's really interesting.
It
I
is
kind of
weird.
forget the exact details, but like this guy tried to create like a rat utopia, and it turned out to not be very utopic. Is that a word?
That is a word, I believe.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. That's very interesting.
Yeah, there's some wild studies out there that people have done.
Yeah.
But thank goodness we have controls on that now.
Kind of. I did a study. Did you guys ever? So I took one psych class. You probably had to take this class too, where they made you do some certain amount of studies.
Oh yeah, I participated in one of those.
Yeah. The one I participated in was so interesting. I'm trying to remember exactly how it went, and I don't remember exactly, but it was very vague. So, anyways, I went in to do the study. I met with whoever was running it. It was like a girl or something, and she kind of like asked me a couple questions, and then she's like, "All right, now you're gonna start." And we started, and it was like computer. I had to like answer all these questions, and then like remember certain things and like recite them back to her. And it was like really hard. I was like, "Oh dang!" Like this was tough. It was like they would ask me to like say 5 words, and then I would do all these questions, and then they'd be like, "What were those 5 words?" And I'd be like, and I'd have to remember them. And so I did the whole thing, and then I left, and I was like, dang, kind of made me feel dumb. And then I forgot about it, and then like a month later, whatever, they published the results, and they brought it back. Had nothing to do with those questions. Like it was about like the whole thing was like the interaction with the girl prior to doing the test. It had nothing to do with the actual thing that I thought it was. It was crazy. It was completely different study, and it was just to throw you off and not like be on edge about it because they wanted a natural reaction from you. I was like, wow, like,
that's smart.
Tricked me.
You got
was
what was my score though?
Yeah, what did I score on that test? Because I want to know.
My next question was like, do you think you've ever been part of a study that and they didn't tell you? Like that would be interesting.
I feel like they have to tell you, right? That's like a thing, right?
Yeah, but
They definitely do ones where they don't. Yeah.
you know?
I guess, right? I mean, cell phones probably are an entire study in themselves.
Oh, are you kidding me? No, cell phone's not a study. They're just selling your information.
It's kind of a study.
I mean, kind of.
if you zoom out, right? That's like really what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
they're just using it to make money, which a lot of studies like that's kind of the purpose at the end of the day.
Well, I always wondered like, okay, why am I worried about anyone taking my personal
data?
information? Like, I don't really care that much, but they collect it all in aggregate and then they sell it, and it's not like they're selling. This is what people get. They're not buying your specific information. They're buying aggregate information. Like, I don't know if all guys look at this one, this this one kind of Instagram post, then put an ad right next to that post.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. So
it is
Yeah, that's crazy.
crazy to think about how much control and information that the powers that be have.
It's unbelievable. It's getting, so the Pope just issued like a warning about
New Pope. I heard he's from Pennsylvania, right?
Is he from Pennsylvania? I know he lives in Chicago.
I thought he was from Pennsylvania. He's American, but he seemed kind of dope.
He seems cool. I like him so far.
Yeah.
I'm Catholic, so
Nice.
I guess I have to say that. But
Nice.
yeah, but
So we have an Orthodox, a
Yeah.
Catholic, and a Protestant all in one room.
so we're gonna gang up on you. Just kidding.
A little bit, yeah.
But the
Actually,
Pope-
you know what? We're going to gang up on you. I think we're closer to being aligned at this point than
is that right?
I think so. My kind of
It
assessment
rotates.
of it.
Well,
Depends the way you
depends
look
on-
at it.
It depends.
It depends on what Protestant denomination you are too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm non-denominational, but
So then I would say on
certain
75% we're closer, on 25% you guys are closer.
probably.
Yeah.
But I don't really like
And then we're mortal enemies.
I don't really like fully align with everything about that.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of why I like non-denominational,
Yeah.
because I feel like it's not like there's a lot of there's more room to like
Sure.
not necessarily interpret.
Yeah, it's not technically
It's not
a
interpret.
religion.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's like it's more like the way I look at it is the rules that are created in denominations, I think sometimes get in the way. It's like the verse goes, don't point out the speck in someone else's eye when there's a log in your own.
Sure.
That's like kind of the way I look at the denominations overall,
Yeah.
because I think they're important and I think structure is very important. But I think that sometimes like as Christians, we miss the mark a little bit on like what should be focused on.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the whole point of the not the whole point, but a large point of conflict in the New Testament is Jesus discussing with the Pharisees and them trying to catch him in doing something incorrect.
Absolutely.
And like, to me, a lot of when people get super sucked into denominations, like that's what's going on.
Yeah. And I think also like if you are arguing over like little small details within, Christianity, then you're taking for granted the fact that you have so many people that are Christian. Right.
Mm.
And so you have you're not arguing with them over like whenever they were Christianity was first, making its way out into the world, like they were fighting with people that straight up didn't believe in other gods.
Yeah.
And they got killed for it. So now we have a world that's like predominantly Christian. So like you have the privilege of, being able to argue those little things, which, so if you look at it like that, it's a little bit better, but.
What, did you grow up Catholic?
Yeah. I grew up Catholic. And I pretty much stuck with it. I kind of like drifted into agnostic a little bit in college, and then I kind of swung hard back to Catholicism. So also in college, but yeah.
How do you feel like that kind of impacts your life now, like that sacramental life?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of important. I think it gives me something to like really look at and say, okay, this is actually like probably the most important thing in my life, and I don't treat it that way. Mm-hmm. So, it's kind of the acknowledgement that like I'm not really going to be perfect in any way, because in the most important part of my life, I fall short. And like, that's just kind of the nature of who we are. Cause I believe in like, original sin and that kind of stuff. But it gives me something to look at whenever other things aren't going well. I'm like, all right, well, like I need to be putting my attention here first, on my faith and on God. And so, and that usually kind of centers me, and it puts everything else into perspective whenever, little things elsewhere in life are, seem like a big deal. But yeah, I think like my faith kind of just anchors you, and it's like weird because that's a pretty cliche thing to say, but I think the anchor is like, okay, like this is actually the most important thing if you believe in it. Mm-hmm. So that's helpful with the rest of life. And ultimately it's a good guide on how to traverse like the challenges of life too. For sure. You have like a strong faith. It's literally the how-to book for life. So, and how to treat people.
Yeah. I agree that we kind of have the luxury of like pursuing Christianity in multiple ways in the modern age. And the debates are, extremely long term. But the core is the same. And I think the idea is like what can help us grow closer to God. For the Protestants, it's, the Bible and nothing else. For the Catholics and Orthodox, there's sacraments, there's things, concepts and items from the Bible that we use to help us grow closer to God. In the Orthodox specifically, like I was just listening to this podcast. It was Protestant and Orthodox priest. It was super cool. And they were just talking and not like debating or like, just like, what do you think? Oh, what do you think?
Right.
What does our church think? What's the original church think? And it was like super helpful for me. Just to hear like different points of view. And it was saying how, in Orthodox church, asceticism is big for us, which is like doing things because of our love for God. So like prayer, fasting. We go to church a lot. Like, we see church as like an experience of heaven. So if you don't enjoy going to church, you're probably not going to enjoy heaven. It's like, there'd be a lot of worship. And so a cool thing that the priest said, and it made sense to the Protestant too, is like what we do is just zeros. So like a prayer is zero, fasting is zero, going to church is zero, and it's meaningless until the one God, Jesus, comes in front of the zeros. And then it gives it all meaning.
That makes sense. That's good. I listened to a podcast. It had a Protestant, an Orthodox, and a Catholic, and it was actually the exact opposite.
Was
it not helpful.
You went back and listened to this podcast in the future?
But they were just like, immediately they just started arguing about like these Latin terms that I don't even know.
See, that's my whole point of like, that's what I don't like about denominations in general. But I liked what you said a lot about, it's all about like how you can grow closer with God and find, the way, the truth, and the life at the end of the day. And I think everybody's personality and, of course, like how you're raised, your upbringing and stuff kind of shapes and molds that. But I also think that there's certain seasons in your life where you need different things. And like, whether that's, you need to feel the love of God, or whether you need to feel like be more God-fearing, or whether you need more structure, or whether you need more support, or like whatever that is. It's like, I think that I feel really grateful that I've been able to go to a lot of Orthodox services. I've been to a lot of Catholic masses, and but the majority of my experience in church has been Protestant churches, Methodist, Southern Baptist, non-denominational. And it's like seeing all of that, it's like there's so much good in all the different areas. And it's like there's no arguing over semantics. It's like, come on.
And I think I'll clarify, because I think like if you like really look, like if you're a biblical scholar, or you're looking to be, if you're looking to be, a priest, or a cardinal, or someone that's in the in the church, I think that it's probably important to look into things like very deeply. Like that should be your area of study.
For sure.
I think like the biggest threat to like Christianity and like people who are trying to get into Christianity, and I think one that like really starts to pull you in the direction away from where you should be, is I think, especially in America, I think the biggest threat is whenever you see faith as a transaction. So like, as in like, I do this and so I get this.
Absolutely.
Right. And like God doesn't need anything from you.
Right.
There's no transaction happening. So I think it's always like, what can I add to like the body of Christ, is kind of how I look at it. And I have to catch myself a lot. Like I always have to ask myself, like, am I viewing my faith as a transaction right now? Because, and I think that's like, in terms of just like the biggest threat to Christianity, I think that's the root of it. And I'm not a priest or anything, so I don't actually know, but like, I think faith as a transaction is one of the things I see most common in people of all denominations, like as something that really pulls them away from the right path.
100%.
Yeah. And I actually learned faith is not a transaction. I actually saw that in a 3-part Netflix series called Dracula. So
Shout out Dracula.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I think that we all catch ourselves in that, I think at times, and you recognize that. And I think that it's easy to trick yourself into thinking and it's easy to trick yourself into just wanting to check boxes.
Yeah.
And I did this, I did this, I did this. It's just for some reason, naturally our human nature points us to doing that.
Yeah.
And it's hard, to accept the gift that we are given, because anytime you get a gift, you feel like you got to get that person back, or, you feel like, or you feel like maybe you earned that, or you deserve it, or whatever it is. And it's such a foreign concept to be able to relate to and deal with.
I think it was one of the popes, or maybe it was Aquinas, and he said that the closest you come to interacting with Christ, with God in our life, is whenever you do something for someone expecting nothing in return, nothing.
Yeah.
So you bring food to homeless guy and walk away, that's the closest you probably come to Christ in life, is whenever you're doing things for people for nothing in return. And I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah.
And kind of along the same thread of how are we looking at things as transactional? And even if you look at relationships, coaching, for example, because that's kind of what I'm doing now in wrestling. Okay, if I'm coaching, or if I'm a training partner for someone, am I looking at this as a transaction, or am I actually just trying to do this for their good? And so I think that's also a way that I try to look at things just in my own professional life as well. And I think it's usually a good guide.
This episode is sponsored by Huel.
You ever been stuck choosing between skipping a meal or eating absolute garbage just wanting to get something in? That used to be me way too often, especially on travel days or when training gets stacked. I'd either power through without food or grab something fast and regret it later. Now I just keep Huel Black Edition ready to drink on hand, and I'm good to go. Huel is a complete meal. It's got 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals. It's low in sugar, which I love. The chocolate flavor is my favorite. It actually tastes good and keeps me full without feeling heavy before a workout. The best part, no prep, no cleanup, no excuses. I just grab it, toss it in my bag, and drink it whenever I need real fuel that won't slow me down. It's affordable too, less than $5 a bottle, which honestly beats a sad protein bar or overpriced drive-thru. When you're in a rush, stuck between workouts, or just want to stop overthinking your meals, Huel makes it simple. Start saving time and money without compromising your nutrition today with this exclusive offer for new customers of 15% off using my exclusive code Nickals at Huel.com. That's 15% for new customers using my exclusive code Nickals at Huel.com. Please see our description for terms and conditions. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition bottled. Now back to the show.
How was that mindset shift from competing to coaching, and how did you balance that? Because we talked about that a little bit with Zane as well.
Yeah, it's definitely different. And I think everyone kind of looks at it differently, because I'm still competitive person, and then I have to go and put myself in a position where I'm now, where before I would, even on days where I wasn't the one competing, I was still trying to get better myself. And, you always want to get better yourself. But then now I'm in a position where it's okay, today and a lot of these weeks, during season, it's 100% about the athlete. They are the focus, nothing me, it's whatever they need. And I think it's just it was healthy for me. I think it was something that I kind of needed that I didn't even know I needed. And I know a guide for life is, if you ever feel like something's not right, just go help someone, and you usually end up landing on the right path. But just being competitive, it's different, and not having control whenever other people are wrestling, that's tough. And I ended up yelling at officials more than I meant to, because that's all I could do out there. But it's but ultimately, I think in terms of the workload on myself, it's definitely a lot more work, but it's not it doesn't feel like it, because I've just been part of our program for 10 years.
Yeah.
And so it's coaching a guy in the corner or taking out the trash, it's still helping our program. It feels the same. So, yeah.
What do you think the main things that you've learned from being on staff and being with the coaches in a much different capacity than being an athlete this past year or so? What have those things been for you?
I think I've learned to just be a little more patient with guys. Whenever I was competing if I felt like a guy, you know, was on the wrong path or whatever. It's just like, you know, I would, you know, offer advice or whatever, but it's like, if they don't take it, all right, I'm not going to help that guy anymore. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I don't want to waste my time. But whenever you're a coach, like every guy is your responsibility. And I think that I want to help out all the guys and especially the guys that don't listen to me, because you kind of, I'm interacting with each guy more on a daily basis than I was competing. Whenever I was competing, you know, practice, hey buddy, how's it going? Maybe I see you outside of the room, like not that much. And then coaching, you're seeing them every day. And like, I think the athletes become a really big part of your life. Like, I feel like every athlete on our team became a really big part of my life. And so maybe I was, you know, felt, you know, a strong, you know, motivation for them that I don't even know if they felt. So I think just being patient and learning to kind of put myself in their shoes and be like, all right, where is this guy at right now? You know, is he motivated? And if not, like, that's okay. Like, let's just figure out how to get him through today, that kind of thing. So I think the interpersonal skills were big for me this year. Like, just because every guy is so different.
Yeah.
And not all of them think like me, and not all of them are motivated like me. And some of them are motivated way more than me.
Right.
So
do you feel like it's a good thing for the team overall to have you there as a coach in a supporting role when you just went through this? Like, you were literally in the NCAA tournament a couple years ago, and you know, our coaches obviously have been there and done that, but it was a longer time ago. So do you feel like you can relate a little bit more to them and help them in different ways?
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. Just me being younger, I'm going to relate to guys, you know, better in a certain way, right? So, you know, I hope it's been helpful, like the stuff, you know, the different perspective I've added. And I think being able to wrestle with the guys a lot, obviously, like I'm still young, so I can wrestle a lot. And I say that, but meanwhile, all three of our other coaches might still wrestle more than me. So, like, it's
they
crazy.
wrestle a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, I hope so. And then on the other side of that coin, like, I get in there and, you know, I think that, you know, things should be a certain way. And then, you know, I talk to the other coaches and I realize that I just have a ton to learn as far as coaching and just anticipating certain things. And, you know, each of those guys is unique. And, you know, I feel like Cody and Kalen, Casey and Jake, I feel like they can all read each other's minds. And like, I've only been on staff here, so I can't read their minds. So sometimes I feel like I'm like, God, I wonder what's going on. But yeah, it's, I think it's been helpful. I hope so. I haven't been fired yet. So
that's good. Was it intimidating when you, like, how did it go when you very first, was it them like, hey, are you interested in this? You coming to them? Was it intimidating when you first got the job? Or take me through that, like, time.
Well, like, the job opened up whenever me and Cody and Zane and Jake, we were all in Turkey.
Okay.
Jordan Connolly was there too. Shout out. But the job kind of opened, and so we were kind of down there, and, you know, I think we needed to figure out an answer for our program pretty quick, just at the time, because, you know, we're in the middle of the summer. We got a lot of guys competing, and so Cody and I kind of briefly talked about it down there. And then whenever I got back, pretty much like the day I got back, I met with Kale, and Kale said he wanted me for the job. And I wasn't sure at first, because I think, you know, there's a lot of, and what I said is I think there's a lot of good people for the job. But, you know, I just wanted to help our program, and I think they wanted me to coach, and so that's what I did. And I think it went okay this year.
Definitely.
Yeah.
First year, it broke the team points record.
Yeah.
You're 1 for 1.
I will take full credit.
Love that.
Yeah.
Did you grow up thinking about coaching?
No, I wasn't going to coach at all. And, like, literally up until, like, I got hired to this job, I wasn't going to coach at all. Like,
Wow.
Really?
I was trying to go to law school. And because you can wrestle internationally for a little while. I think it's good. But I was just thinking about, like, long-term future, and I know I don't want to coach, so I have to transition at some point to, like, a professional life. And so that's kind of what I was thinking.
Get a real job.
I guess. Right. But then I think, you know, and I was kind of unsure about it, but I think God just kind of opened up a way for me to stay involved with our program, which has been such a huge part of my life and given me so much. So I kind of think it was just a nice opportunity to continue to, be involved and just help an incredible, Penn State wrestling community that continues to grow and be really good for everyone involved. So.
Yeah. Do you feel like for you, are you like a long-term planner guy? Like, all right, 5 years out, 10 years out, I want to do this or that. And like, kind of seemed like, this coaching, it really wasn't a part of your plan.
Sure.
You had a different plan and God took you in this direction. And
yeah.
So do you feel like you're still kind of like letting God take the wheel, or do you kind of like have a picture in your mind of like where you want it to go?
I think that I was kind of caught flat-footed whenever I first took this job because I was trying to plan for things and I just hadn't planned far enough in advance and I hadn't done the things to put me in a position to be able to transition to what I wanted to. So I felt kind of stuck, and then I got this job, and so I feel like I kind of learned my lesson. So now I plan in advance for things, and not necessarily that you have to take whatever route I'm planning for, but I just like to have, if I do X, then I want to be prepared for X, but I can also transition to Y.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. So do you see yourself coaching like long term then?
I don't know. I don't know if that will happen, but I think if that ends up happening, like I'm trying to learn everything I can about coaching, and to be a good coach, I'm trying to improve, my interpersonal skills, and I'm trying to get better. Like I want to get better at wrestling more now than I even did whenever I was, competing all the time. So, I'll be prepared for that if that's what ends up happening. And, I don't know, like if the rest of our staff said we're retiring today, I'd be like, all right, see ya. Like, I don't want to coach anyone else. Like, not right now.
But you would probably just take the head job.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm the guy for that, but 10 years down the road or however long it is, and I'm in this, would be kind of silly to like totally, switch careers. So I'll kind of take it a year at a time, I think. And just think the main thing is if I can just continue to, help our program, and hopefully I am, then that'll be good and things will open up. So
yeah.
Have you learned anything now that you're on the inside, without giving out any secrets, like of what makes the staff so cohesive and successful?
Yeah, if I told you, I'd have to kill you. No, I'm just kidding. I just think they just trust each other a lot. I don't think that, if Coach Casey is, having a conversation, Coach Huel doesn't have to worry about what he's going to say about the program. You know what I mean? I think it's just like a level of trust like that. And they've just been coaching together for so long, and, they're just friends and stuff. So I think that's the main thing. And then they all just have the same goal. Like they just want to be the best in what they do. And I don't really think it's more complicated than that. Like they're just really driven individuals, and they try to do the best for each individual athlete and also the best for their program. And, I just, one thing I've noticed is what's best for like it's never once come up, like what's best for Kale, what's best for Cody, what's best for Casey. Like that's never come up, not a single time in like any meeting. And I wish they would talk about that more, because those guys are awesome, but they're just dedicated to the program and to the athletes, and really incredible. It's pretty incredible. So hopefully I can, keep improving and, get to where those guys are at. But
yeah. No, you really can't ask for better guys to learn from.
Yeah. And, and I'll, give a shout out to all our club guys like you two. And then, we have a bunch of other guys in the club as well.
Stop.
No, we really do. I think Happy Valley, like if you looked at Happy Valley, I would just say like this is like the center for wrestling right now. And I think there's probably some people that argue with me on that, which is fine. They can argue. But as far as like if I'm not saying there's not other good places to go wrestle, but I think if you come into Happy Valley, like you have every single tool you need to achieve any level of success for wrestling. And you, on top of that, like, any level of success just as a person, as an individual. It's just been really good. And, you know, ultimately it comes down to your own personal decisions. But, yeah, we have a really good thing going here. So.
Yeah, I remember that my junior year when I lost the starting spot, and a lot of people on the outside were like, why are you not transferring? And this and that. And there wasn't even NIL, so that was like a different game.
What if there had been?
No, I don't think so. Depends on the offer. But
shoot, I might have been out of here depending on the offer.
Bro, that's a whole different conversation.
I wouldn't have gotten any offers.
Yeah, right.
But what was I gonna say?
They're offering 7 placers $500,000.
Are you serious?
I mean, probably. So yeah, you would have got offers.
Dang.
Yeah, Ronan, you got a couple grand tossed your way.
Yeah. They were like, he's been around enough.
Yeah.
Like, we can suit him up. He's never actually wrestled, but he's seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say was stupid now. But I was just gonna say, like, my thought process was, if I can't figure it out here, like, regardless of who's at my weight class, like, why am I gonna go somewhere else, even if there's like someone not so good, if I'm just like automatic starter?
That's what I felt like. Like, I was literally considering, whenever I decided to come here in college, I was gonna like either wrestle here or I wasn't gonna wrestle in college. Like, I was like, dude, I'm not gonna go somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, like, be the best or whatever. So I might as well go and try to win a national title and win team titles. Like, that just makes the most sense.
For
I
sure.
mean, you're obviously, like, coming to Penn State gonna be on championship teams.
Yeah.
And then I think that the biggest question within most people's minds is, like, am I gonna start?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, are you worried about being a starter or are you worried about being a national champ?
Yeah.
Because if you're worried about being a starter, you're not going to be a starter.
For sure. That was never a thought in my mind. Like, I never thought starter. Yeah.
No. And I mean, all of us had interesting wrestle offs at one point, like every single one of us in here. So it's something that it just happens. It's very normal. Every single guy that I know, I haven't really seen anybody that hasn't had a little bit of a crazy wrestle off, like, and to some extent, right? Like, almost every single guy that's gone through the team has had that. And it's just on you, is your mindset, hey, I'm here to win the nationals, or am I here to try to start? And it's like, if you want to be good, you're not going to be good. But if you want to be the best, you're probably going to be ended up, at least you're going to be good.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah, and I think, you know, usually the guys that end up being the best wrestlers are the guys that, you know, probably don't even think about, like, a wrestle off. Like, they're just trying to come and be the best.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, maybe they have a tough wrestle off.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think a lot of them even thought about it, like, whenever they came here.
No.
So.
You didn't see my first wrestle off ever. You weren't here for that.
Did you get pinned or something?
Yeah.
First period, bro.
I think it got all the way to Indiana, huh?
It was, yeah. No, that sent shockwaves through the community. Yeah, bro. Takedown, let him up. Go to freaking hit a cement job.
Yeah.
Headlock, pinned. 45 seconds. And I was like, what the frick? Like, what? It was one of the most embarrassing moments I've ever had. Like, and
it's good for you, though.
It was good. It was good. I had to re-wrestle off and got it done. But yeah, then I had a couple other close ones the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how, like, shame is probably the most, like, transformative feeling?
It's such a good thing.
It's such a good thing. It's
That's
so bad at the time, but then it literally will, like, whatever you do, and if you feel a massive amount of shame, you'll never do it again.
Yeah.
No.
Like,
I mean, it can either be, like, the biggest motivator and positive.
Yeah.
Or the absolute worst.
Crush
You're done.
That's true.
So
That's true.
all of my shameful experiences in life have been like a trampoline for me.
Yeah.
To where I've
That's a good way
like
to put it.
in the middle of, you know, my 5th or 6th bike sprint, and I'm just thinking about that and it pushes me through it.
Oh yeah.
But then I think other people, it's like, I'm just gonna go crawl in a hole.
Yeah.
And they don't come out of it. So I mean, it's a tricky thing.
I think it's probably how you're raised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I think a lot of things, like, you can always, you know, look at nature versus nurture and stuff. I think a lot of it is just like in you too, because like now as a dad, I see my son who's, you know, 18 months old, and I see like stuff that is just him. Like, he's not even old enough to have learned things. Like, he's just doing stuff, or he just reacts to things in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, like, that's him. Like, I still see shades of myself or shades of my wife, but then certain stuff I'm like, that's just in him for whatever reason, right? Like, so it's just an interesting thing, like how people respond to situations, because it's definitely a lot of how you're raised and dealing with things over time and building resilience or grit or whatever it is. But then some of it is just like, that's just in you, you know?
My brother, like I have two younger brothers.
Really?
We were all raised, yeah, you're familiar. We were all raised like almost the exact same, and we're all like pretty different.
Right.
So
that's a great example of that then.
Yeah.
Did you respond well to like the way your dad raised you?
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, he was probably more strict than most parents, but and he's in the military. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things I was really upset at him at the time, and then I look back and I'm like, God, I'm pretty glad that he like raised me like that, and so now I have a view on the world that I think is healthy. But yeah, I think so. And then obviously you look back and you think, oh, like there's things my parents could have done differently, but
always,
it's just like you're a human being, they're human beings, so they're gonna make mistakes, but luckily none of them were disastrous as far as we know. So,
right. Yeah, for sure. Speaking of like family and childhood, you got to tell the story with you and your brother.
Which one?
My favorite one ever.
Oh, the sinkhole?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I love this story. This story almost brings me to tears.
So we had this, we lived out in the middle of nowhere in Indiana, in Evansville, Indiana, and actually it's kind of west of Evansville, in this like little tiny area called like West Franklin, middle of nowhere. And so there's just a lot of woods around, so we would just go out and like walk around in the woods, and we lived like on this cliff. So we would go like on the side of this cliff, and my parents would get mad at me. And then if you went kind of back into the woods, there was this old like in-ground pool, and we filled it in and put like a jungle gym on top. And then like behind this underground pool was this like where the woods started. And then so we went in there, and there was like a sinkhole that was there, and I don't know how it got there, and it's been filled in since, I think, but we were just like going around this sinkhole, and then like all of a sudden, and we were wearing these little like kids like cowboy boots, and we were just like walking around the woods, like playing Army Men or whatever. And all of a sudden I like slip, I like fall in, and I'm like hanging on this like root of this like tree. And like this is a pretty deep sinkhole, and probably not for like me now, but like at the time I don't even know how old I was, like maybe 4 or 5, like I don't know. Really young, like young enough to where I couldn't have gotten out.
Yeah.
And then I'm like hanging, I'm like about to slip, and I like put my foot up, and like my foot slips and I'm about to fall, and then Joe just like catches me and like pulls me up and like saved me. It is crazy. And like realistically, I don't know if anything super bad had happened, but it was at the time it felt like life and death. Man.
That was 100-foot fall in your mind right there.
Yeah, right there. It was,
like, I got you, brother.
Because when you're a kid, you're just like if mom leaves me in the store, that's it.
It's over. Yeah, your life's over.
Yeah.
What do they call that? They call that like something memories, core memories. That's like core memory for sure right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually have like a really bad memory for things. Like I have a terrible memory. Like I forget a lot of life, but that's a memory I seriously have problems.
Can't forget that.
I don't know. I can't forget that one.
Yeah.
I get
How far apart are you and Joe?
Like 15 months.
Oh, so really close.
A little over a year.
Yeah.
And then Matt's another 15 months behind Joe.
So you guys are super as close as you can get, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
That's cool.
Yeah.
My first boy and second will be 20 months, so they'll be pretty close to that.
Yeah, they'll be good. They'll be able to hang out together.
Yeah.
They'll probably get in lots of fights.
Definitely.
But
You guys fought a lot and stuff?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. But it's good. Like, it's like good fights.
Yeah. Like, bust each other up and then, I'm sorry, hug it out.
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't really hug it out. It's just kind of like
hug
the way the brothers are you pretty much get in a fight where you hate each other to the bone, and then like an hour later you're just like, there's no like hug it out. It's just like you're just good all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's like,
there's no
watch that movie the other day.
Yeah. There's not like a reconciliation. It's just like you both know you're on the same page.
I wanted to get rid of you like 30 minutes ago, but I can't, so we're just gonna have to do this.
You're like, when you were a baby, I should have dropped you down the stairs.
Yeah.
It's crazy you can get like more mad at your siblings than anybody.
I know. I think, but part of it's like I'll get really mad at my brothers for things. Like I'll drop the hammer. Like still about things that I won't drop the hammer on other people. But I think it's because like you like care about them more, because I think that like for me, I feel like what my brothers do is a reflection of me as well. And so, and maybe, I don't know if that's healthy or not, but they are your family. Mm-hmm. And so I think that it's like comes from a level of like, I care about this person more, like just like I care about myself. So I need to like straighten this out. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Because I think, like, if they are really upset about something, like, I get really upset about it. Not because I'm upset about it, because I'm upset about them being upset. So
Definitely.
So that's kind of why I'm like, well, if you don't want to be upset about this, then you should have done this. And so I get mad, and maybe I shouldn't, but I think it's your families can't get rid of them. So
True. Yeah.
You gotta figure out how to help them.
That's so interesting. So you think right now, like, out of all of you three, who would win in a match?
Dude, so
If you guys did a round robin.
I think Joe would honestly be honest, and I think he might say that Matt would beat him. Matt takes like 25 grams of creatine a day. He's ripped.
Yeah, I've seen him. He's getting big.
I just like don't even know. Like, and
how much bigger is he than you?
He's huge. He's in DC for an internship right now.
I thought I saw him the other day.
Yeah, he's here. He was in town briefly.
Okay, that's when I saw him.
He came in and lifted in his jeans to go after Tony.
Nice.
So
he's probably big then.
He's got to be like upper 70s.
Yeah, and what are you? 40, 35?
I'm like mid 50s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you're the older brother. You don't think that factors in now?
Oh, it definitely factors in.
Okay, so it would be, you think you'd get him?
Yeah, I think I would, but I don't know, man. They're strong. So it just depends on whether they like want to break out of the younger brother box.
Yeah.
If they decide to like break out of the younger brother box, I might be in trouble.
Yeah.
I can take on a lot of bigger guys, but they're also like.
Well, we wrestled the other day.
They're pretty good wrestlers too.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, and I took you out. So.
Come on.
My favorite, I wrestled Bo whenever I was like a freshman or sophomore. And
oh my gosh.
This was at the time whenever Bo would like, you remember in college, like I would get, like if we had a match, I would be warming up half hour before a match. Like I'd be breathing fire. And then Bo would just sit in his warm ups. And then as soon as 84 was done, he would like take his stuff off, like do this with his arms and just walk out there and pin the guy. But whenever we were freshman or sophomore in college, like we wrestled one day and I got pinned so many times, but I just kept going so hard. And it must have been a day where we went like really long and your face got so red.
Oh, yeah. When he gets lobster mode, bro. Like,
he was getting me at the end. I was like, I have a lot of pride. So I tried my best, but you had me.
I gave up a lot of points.
You had me. That's when I knew. I was like, he's going to be good.
Yeah.
Before that, I was like, I don't know about this guy.
Yeah.
No, actually, when I knew you were going to be good was semifinal Southern Scuffle.
Oh, yeah. My freshman year.
I was fired up.
Yeah.
Josh Alber, it was one of those matches that, like, when I look at that match, I remember it very vividly. And I was like, Nick is way better than this kid. Like, you're way better than him. But he's got the experience.
Yeah.
And it just seemed to me like you were scoring and it was like, then he would sneak something in. And I was like, it looked like to me that he was going to sneak it out at the end.
Sure.
Like that was what I was afraid of, like watching the match. I was like, frick, Nick like he's so much better than this kid, but this kid just has more experience. This kid's going to try to sneak it out at the end. Like you got to be ready.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't really know you that well at that point. Like, knew you well, but not as obviously like what I know you now. And I hadn't watched you that much. And then, it comes down to it. Like, everything's on the line. It's like basically next takedown wins, and you just go friggin' bomb him on his head.
So dope.
And I was like, that's my guy. Let's go. Like, I'm like, that's what we need. Like, there's so many guys that get to that point in matches, and then they just fold, especially when they're young. And it's like, that's something that I'm like, I will just never forget it. It's as a core memory of mine because I'm just like, that's what I'm freaking talking about. Because like, as a guy that was like a little older on the team, you just want the young guys to like, I'm like, dude, even if you lose, like just freaking finish strong. And like don't wimp out to keep it PG. Right. Like,
and I was by no means like the most talented guy. Like I talented, but
for sure.
I worked pretty hard, and I wasn't like the most athletic kid in school or anything, but I think I just like really stuck with it. And I don't want to be like, well, we had a team of killers at the time. I was like, I don't want to be the guy that's like losing. So that's embarrassing. But
well, you were like 18 years old. You're a true freshman, 18, 19. So I mean, you were young, but that was a freaking awesome moment.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun year.
I think you concussed him too.
Well, it's funny because he's a good opponent. We both, me and that guy, we both got upset
first round
in the first round at nationals, and we had each other in the next
Crazy.
round.
I remember
Really?
that.
Yeah, and I remember losing, and I was like so mad. And Zane gave me a little pep talk.
Yeah.
And then
What did he say to you real quick? What did Zane say?
I don't remember the specific words, but it was just along the lines of, all right, like, we still got to win this thing.
Yeah,
so
like,
we're gonna need some points,
lock
like that
in.
kind of thing. So it was like lock in, and I did lock in that
Oh,
tournament
yeah, you
on the
did.
backside. But then I remember going like, all right, let's see who we got. And I looked, and I was Halper, and I was like, dang.
You're like, really?
I
This was last second down to the wire
Yeah.
last time, and you got him freaking second round.
And then like the rest of that tournament, like every match was like a takedown or a point, every single one.
Yeah.
So, but that was a fun tournament. That tournament I think was like a forming moment for me. So
Dude,
Yeah.
that was great.
I've never been that sore in my life.
Bro, there was so much that happened.
Yeah.
I just remember, honestly, you know what's funny is that was like the worst NCAA tournament. Other than I lost in the finals as a freshman, but overall, 5 matches, that was like the worst I'd ever wrestled.
Dude,
Because I was so worked up.
Dude, it was stressful.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
was stressful, but
I was like, what the frick? Like,
Yeah.
how we can't lose to these
Nobody was
scumbags.
really like on.
Nobody.
Mark was doing well.
Mark did really well.
But,
Zane.
Everybody was kind of like,
Jason obviously had
just
a
grinding
destroyed
through.
knee.
yeah.
Bro,
That was probably, I think
That was all-
maybe what was stressing everybody out was Jason's knee.
definitely. That was
I
stressful.
remember our team after
And
that
then
happened.
Kemmer in the quarters.
Oh yeah. Dude, I remember like whenever he hurt his knee at Rutgers, our whole team was like in like,
Bro, I almost lost because of that.
yeah, we were in like shock mode. I was so mad.
Yo, literally, so because those guys are a bunch of freaking Jersey scumbags, bro. They're always crazy with it. You know
It
how
was
Rutgers
weird.
goes.
There was
They were like cheering about it.
I love wrestling fans. There was not a lot of like grace whenever Jason hurt his knee.
No, they were very no class with that. And so I remember, obviously Jason and I are super close. So I was like, holy, like I went to the back with him, and he's with Dan, and I'm just like sitting with him, and then Coach Cody came in and was like, hey dude, you're up in like 2 minutes. And I was like, oh, all right.
Dang.
Like I like couldn't even get my head
Yeah.
wrapped around.
Did
like,
you wrestle Gravina?
Yeah. I wrestled,
Yeah,
and he was pretty
he was good,
He was
yeah.
like top 8,
Yeah.
top 10 guy.
Yeah. And to end on a positive note with like the Rutgers fans, dude, they do show out for their team. Like,
I
every
appreciate
time we're
that.
there. Yeah. It's
No, I
awesome.
like that.
It is a great environment.
I kind of wish, I love the Penn State fans. I think they're the best in the world, but like, I get in a little more fights in the stands.
Jersey stands
and stuff,
behind their
right?
own.
Like,
I think
you
we
know,
should-
throw
Maybe we
some
gotta
stuff
start
at people.
serving alcohol and
Yeah.
Bro, that's actually probably
that-
the difference.
that'll do it,
Because I
yeah.
think that like PA fans, especially Central PA people, like they're about it.
Yeah.
They'll get rowdy. It's just a peaceful golf clap, environment sometimes.
Yeah.
So
it
That's,
throws people off though.
it does.
Whenever
It's
really
intense.
quiet in rec hall.
It's a different feeling,
Yeah.
Yeah. That was that same year that we had the crazy duel, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. With Ohio State.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was crazy.
And I think in big duels too, we tend to light up.
Oh
in
yeah.
big duels. Like
100%.
that was one of the craziest environments we've ever been in. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, our fans. It's definitely a different environment in rec hall, and whether it's a small match or big match,
Yeah.
and but yeah, we have just an incredible. I mean, it's just the home.
Yeah.
Like, it's Pennsylvania. It's a home
Yo,
wrestling.
that duel was obviously great. That's probably the greatest duel of all time. But one duel that really always will stand out to me was Ohio State the next year at Ohio State.
Oh yeah, that
Yo,
was
so fun.
that was crazy.
That was fun.
Do you remember you remember the weight draw?
Yeah,
You were probably right there.
That's what I saw it right there, and I was like,
yes.
it was crazy.
Literally, I don't know why this never happened in another duel. Like it
Yeah.
didn't happen. And the coaches, so they had, I forget they're 25, but they had Pletcher at 33,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah,
and
Pletcher at
McKenna
33,
and McKenna at
yeah.
41.
Uh-huh.
So they had Pletcher and McKenna back
Both
to back,
cutting a lot of
both
weight.
cutting a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And the coach, it was Jaggers. He was like, we got to draw for weights because that's what they used to do back then. It was like they had popsicle sticks with the weights on it. And it was me. I don't know why I was right there, but it was just like me and Coach Cody and Jaggers like, got to draw sticks. And Coach Cody's like, I'm not drawing. And I was like, Coach, I got this. I'll just draw 133. And the Jaggers was like, what's wrong with this kid? Like,
Yeah.
And I was like, it's cool if I draw, like for real. Because at first I was like, I'm not actually going to draw.
Yeah.
Like that's not going to happen. I'm an athlete.
Yeah.
And Coach Cody's like, no, draw. And I was like, it's good with Jaggers? And I was like, I'm drawing 133. I said it like 5 times. I literally told him like 5 times. I'm like, you let me draw, I'm drawing 133. Just like talking crap to him. And he was like, go ahead, this is real. I'm like, this is real, for sure. 133.
Dang.
Boom, pulled it. And I was like, I told you.
We should have just went home after that, honestly.
It was over. It was over.
Because it was just like
it was game over,
joke.
game, set, match. So, obviously Roman beats Pletcher, big upset. You beat McKenna. And then we just it was like 37-3.
Yeah.
Like we just destroyed them.
And it's supposed to be a tight
Manville
duel.
barely even got majored by Miles.
Yeah.
He started coming back on him a little
It
bit.
was annoying the heck
Yeah,
out of it.
yeah.
The student fans were
Yo,
like chirping at
you
us for,
remember
like,
that girl?
a total of 3 matches.
She was crazy.
Yeah.
I remember
Dude.
literally the attitude after the first 3 matches changed so much. She was like in our ear. She was like yelling the
Yeah.
whole time. And then after the 3rd match, she was like, all right, we get it. You guys are good. Like, we get it. We get it.
You guys can stop
That
now.
was so funny.
Dude, that was the best.
I do remember that girl now.
She was crazy.
She was right on the front row.
Right there.
Yeah.
They put him right on our bench.
I wonder who she was now. Like, what
Like, where is she? What's she doing?
Yeah.
Probably still
Let's get her on the pod.
yeah.
That was fun, bro.
Yeah,
That was a good duel. Dude, Big Ten wrestling fans are awesome. Like, dude,
Oh,
just
yeah.
every Big Ten school, anywhere we go, is like packed house.
Packed.
Most of the schools. But like even Indiana, that one year we went, whenever I was on the team, like it was packed.
Yeah.
It's awesome. A duel that sticks out this year is against Nebraska. Like crazy. Like it is, and I don't really buy the whole like wrestling is a dying sport. Like every year we go to these Big Ten schools and it's an awesome show. It's a packed house. Like it's phenomenal. So yeah, like dude, shout out to the Big Ten schools. It's we got a really good thing going right now. Like it's awesome. It's a really good product.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, NCAA tournament viewership was up this year. There's definitely way more people interested in the sport. We got like the new wrestling leagues going on and stuff.
Well, to be fair, I think people are more worried about freestyle wrestling. NCAA wrestling is obviously in a good spot. I mean,
Freestyle is
NIL
tough.
NIL is probably bad for both, honestly, but
probably
yeah, I think freestyle is where people are probably more worried, but
just not as exciting. I mean,
yeah,
it's harder to follow.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still great. It's the best guys in the world, and it's fun to watch. What did you think about Final X?
I think they did a pretty good production. I don't necessarily know if we need to have like a Final X. Like I would rather just like there's how many tournaments do you have to wrestle in to make Final X? Like 3 tournaments.
3, yeah.
Like it's just I think it's too many steps.
Yeah. The other thing that's weird is it's like the qualification process for the World Championship is nothing like the World Championship.
It's nothing in my
It's
biggest.
It's a best 2 out of 3. Like you're never gonna do a best 2 out of 3 other than then.
Yeah,
It's not a tournament.
Yeah,
It's not even like similar to what we're gonna be doing in a few months. But
and I think the main things for me, and I don't like best 2 out of 3. I don't think it's. I could go either way on it.
Right.
I don't think it's the worst thing.
No, it's not that big.
I think you have some guys that maybe just need a little bit of like they need to get into it. Whatever. Like I think PJ Duke's a good example this year. Like he's incredible. And
if it wasn't best 2 out of 3, he wouldn't have been on team.
Yeah, and I do think he's the best representative at that weight. Right. So that's an example. But then obviously you could find examples the other way.
Right.
But I think the biggest things for me are number one is the officiating. Like those matches, in a lot of ways, the officiating, like there's norms in officiating whenever you wrestle overseas, and it's very different.
So different.
Like
it's not even like the same sport almost.
No,
sometimes.
So I think they need to be more consistent in how they officiate, and I think the biggest thing that sticks out in my head off the bat is like passivity. They're calling passivity like they would call stalling in folk style matches.
It's not even close.
That's not how it's called.
It's not how it's called.
So, and it doesn't matter how you think it should be called.
Right.
And because I see on the internet, a lot of people are like, well, it should be called like this. And it's like, ultimately it doesn't matter. It needs to be called consistently with how it's going to be called internationally. Yeah. And then also, I think that we should wrestle on the mats that we wrestle on over there.
There's no reason not to.
And I think even people, I think Coach Cody disagrees with me on that, but that's
Why?
okay. I don't know. He said something about how they wear out or whatever.
But you got to compete on the same mat.
I'm really misrepresenting his position right now. I'm nervous about that. But,
you're like, he was saying like that
But he also
it's too
likes
bouncy
to just disagree with me sometimes. So maybe he actually agrees with me.
It's being a good that's being a good mentor.
Yeah. But I think like we wrestle on the canvas mats everywhere internationally, and I've never wrestled on a canvas mat except at the Olympic Training Center. They have a canvas match at the Olympic Training Center, but
right.
Or why don't we wrestle on, the mats that you wrestle on in college, like the actual, like res lights. Yeah.
Yeah. And it seems weird because it's just so hard to follow as a fan, One thing for me, I mean, I probably know wrestling as much as anybody. I couldn't even figure out how to get up the brackets and stuff like that for US Open, World Trials, like all that stuff. You probably didn't have to worry about it, but as somebody that wasn't there, that's like watching, it was so hard to follow. And then you have US Open, you have World Trials, you have Final X, and it's like, wait, who's doing what and what's where and like who's on what team and
they
what
changed it now,
and it's all different.
They ported it over to like this thing called USA bracketing.
That's what I was talking about. It was so confusing, and it was like the platform was not good.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, and I feel like every 5 years or so or 10 years, they always change it over to something else. And
just keep it consistent. Like something that has been good in wrestling, I think the last, probably 7, 8, 9 years has been, even though it's not necessarily consistently called the same way, the rules have been pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Like there was a while there from 2005 to 2015 where it was like, I don't even know the rules. Like, is this best 2 out of 3 periods? Is this has to score 3 points?
Remember the clinch?
Is this the clinch?
Like
the clinch is crazy. Like, what are we doing here? But now it's been like a pretty good rule set. I think that part of that was like the corruption of like trying to make it a certain way for certain guys to win.
Yeah.
But now it's like more fair and more exciting. And
since it's been UWW,
it's been UWW, it's more, it's better.
Yeah.
But I think that there just needs to be like more consistency with the process.
Yeah.
And just make it streamlined, make it exciting, but don't make it confusing.
Yeah.
Because you try to explain it to somebody, like how to make a world team that's never wrestled or has never watched, they're going to be like, yeah, you lost me in like one sentence.
Whenever we were in Louisville for the World Team Trials, like there was some guy, and he's a big wrestling fan, like, and he said he's like, he travels everywhere to watch wrestling, and he's a Penn State wrestling fan. Like he knew exactly who Coach Casey Cunningham was and all that stuff. And he's like, what are you doing in Louisville? And we're like, oh, the World Team Trials are here. And he's like, what? Like
Didn't even know.
Yeah. But then also it's like, how do you even, because he was asking like World Team Trials, like senior World Team Trials, like how do you even explain to him? It's like, yeah, it's the World Team Trials, but if you win, you're not on the World Team. Then you got to wrestle a different guy. Like that kind of deal. So like we don't even try to explain it. So
it's not worth it.
Yeah, and I know I think they try to make it fair, and they want to try to make sure they have the best team, and like I understand all that, but I think those things kind of work themselves out.
They will.
The best guys will figure out how to compete their best, and even if it's not the most fair situations or whatever. And but yeah, I think you just shorten the process a little bit, and it's fine. It's
for sure.
They're not too far off. I think the biggest thing is just don't have World Team Trials at a kids tournament.
What the heck was
infuriated
that?
me.
That's crazy. Yeah,
that really infuriated me. But I'm sure they'll learn. At least I hope so. So
well, we wrestled the other day, and you felt pretty good. So do you think there's a comeback in the works potentially?
Well, I never retired, but
you never retired.
Yeah, I'm still pretty. I'm
so 27. You're still in there.
Yeah, I think I'll compete again at some point for sure. Yeah, I think I want to be the best coach I can be, and I think part of that's competing, and I want to, and I just want, like I said, I want to get better at wrestling more now than I ever have, and so I think competing is just probably part of that, and I enjoy competing a lot, so it's fun. It's like the fun part of wrestling. So I got like a burst of fresh air, like being in the corner this year with the guys, and whenever you're just competing on the freestyle circuit, you don't compete that much.
Right.
A couple times a year.
Yeah, it's not a lot. But if you do, I won't tell anybody your kryptonite.
Thanks.
Even though
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
It was I figured it out real quick.
Wow.
It was, I
You've been
don't
wrestling with him for years.
Yeah. I don't want to say I got lucky, but I just fell into a situation that I was like, oh, he can't stop this. And so I just kept going back to it. And I was like, wow, okay.
You have it forever now.
That's what teammates are for.
That's what teammates are for.
Share your kryptonite.
Yeah, for sure. But I'll keep that to myself. I've only told like 3 or 4 people.
Who you were just on the phone with?
I had to. That was big news. It was big news. I had to. Yeah. Coach Cody, I told, which he's obviously going to tell a lot of people.
Cody, he might spread misinformation too. You never know.
He might spread it. You never know. You never know. But,
I remember what we were talking about. Like, okay, if you had like a twin, like a clone of you, like what would you do? And Cody was like, I would take him out.
he's like, because he'd be thinking the same thing, right?
Yeah, because he'd be thinking the same thing.
Coach Cody answer ever.
I'd take him out. He's like, why would you take him out? He's like, well, because he would be thinking that.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I would take him out. Oh gosh, that's good. It's an interesting thought process.
Yeah, no, that dude is but he's like one of the best coaches because he'll like interesting thought process. He'll think about things that no one else thinks about.
For sure.
Of, like contingencies and issues with, different plans. Like he's a freaking man.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, no, he's a mastermind. That's for sure.
Mastermind would be the word.
Yeah. That's a good group.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're a part of it. Yeah, I think it was when I look at the team and everything that's been going on, I think you're adding a ton of value, and it's a really good situation for you and everybody else. You got a lot of good stuff to teach guys, and I think it's good for you too. So
Let's see where we are in 3 years before we make any judgments on how.
Nick Lee, GOAT of all time, coach, straight to the top.
Fired and disgraced. That's an option, so you just never know.
Don't count your chickens before they hatch, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but we do have a good thing going, and I'm happy to be a part of it, and we're just going to keep it rolling no matter what obstacles get in our way. We got a
Obstacle is the way.
Yeah, I mean, there's always obstacles.
No, the obstacle is the way.
Oh, the obstacle,
great book.
is the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good quote. I've never heard that one before. I don't know really.
Let's end it with
If it
this.
makes
What you
sense,
got?
but-
What are you reading? What have you been reading lately? I know you're a big reader.
I read
Wait, you're a big reader, right?
the joke in college was I couldn't read, but
I'm glad you figured that out.
Coach Lynch, Adam Lynch,
Coach Lynch.
yeah, he got me this book. What's it called? It's like the one where the guy he's writing letters to the devil or the other way
Screwtape
around.
letters.
Yeah. I like.
C.S. Lewis.
Yeah, so that's what I'm like starting.
Nice.
But then I just finished a book that I borrowed from Coach Kale's little library, just kind of about leadership and stuff, and it's just kind of one of those leadership books. It's not anything specific, and there's like a million different copies, but it was some good stuff. Just so I'm into light reading. I'm pretty busy with other stuff, but yeah, I try to just like read a few pages and stuff, but.
Great.
Chop Wood, Carry Water is a good one. You showed me that one.
That is a really good book.
Yeah.
Didn't they write that? That was written about you, right?
No, I wish.
Oh, I thought that was like a autobiography.
Oh,
It was like a memoir.
It's
Memoir.
that's a good one. That's by what's his name? Joshua Metcalf. He has a couple of really good books. Like he's got like When in the Dark, like a couple of really good books that people should read. But yeah, Chop Wood Carry Water is just about like being process focused, and it's about this guy, and he wants to go and he wants to learn how to be like a master samurai archer. And then he goes to be a master samurai archer, and they just make him like chop wood, carry water the whole time. And he's like, "What the heck, dude? Like,
Awesome.
I'm trying to be a master archer."
It's a
But it
Mr.
was
Miyagi
good.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's
Paint
really
defense.
good. Yeah, no, exactly. Take the jacket on. Put the jacket on. Yeah, good book. Really
Okay,
good. Really
good.
quick read too.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm not a big like motivational book guy
No.
necessarily because I feel like
Well, it
a
sounds
lot
like you are though, because everything you've recommended is like. I don't know.
Well, I feel like I've read a lot of fiction in my life. And
Oh, yeah.
I read a lot of like historical fiction.
That's what I was gonna
That's
say.
like my favorite stuff.
I can see that.
So
Nice.
yeah.
Like World War II love stories and stuff.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. My wife reads those.
Oh really? Not the love stories. I read I just read like honestly, my books will come straight up close to just history books. I just think history is so interesting.
Yeah.
So
You know what they call that? Early onset Republican.
yeah.
You're already there though.
That's
so.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. All right, brother. Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. It was
Thanks,
a good,
bro.
Sure.
good chat. It was probably one of the most enjoyable chats we've
Yeah,
had.
I learned a
Nice.
lot.
Yeah,
I'm-
for sure.
I'm a really likable guy.
Love it. Well, yeah, that's it. Thanks, everybody.
Great.
Love y'all.
See ya.